So in this video, I'll sort of explain the project that I'd like you to work on if you're interested. Essentially, duelstone is what we call a dueling game. So social dueling. Essentially, you two opponents stand around about 2 meters apart, and you use this bat to hit a shuttle. Or a shuttlecock, essentially, at the other person's torso. If it hits their torso, it's called a wound, 3 wounds on any of either opponent, and you die, and the duel ends. The idea is that the sport can be played anywhere. You just need one of these, and you have markers on the ground which are called stones, and then you just essentially start to play. The way that we designed it was that essentially we really thought that this is a kind of sport that could appeal to gamers and sort of game animators, etc. That sort of would help them inspire them to get out of their chairs or get out of our chairs. It was and actually sort of do some sport, because it's quite fun. It's very tactile. So I'll give you the measurements in a second, but it's essentially the first version that we did, we got an actual sword. We molded the sword, and then we attached it just to a shield-shaped hitting surface. You can see the hitting surface is quite narrow. When I made it all as one piece. So we just attached everything together and then created the mold. And then over the top of the top part, I put a layer of neoprene, and then leather on the top there. And this one has actually got a transfer on it, which is Trinity University, Trinity College. It was Shield, which was the first version that we made it for testing out. It's quite heavy, and the guy who actually made the mold, he purposely made it quite heavy. He put some actually heavy metal elements in it, so that when you drop it, it really does have a bit of a thud. And when you hold it, you feel like you're really holding a sword or something that really is worthwhile, not a toy. And that really was the idea. You can see it's quite sort of detailed, sort of ornate. It was actually a very medieval sword that we used to do it. The actual dimensions are, if I put a ruler here, you can see, is actually, this is around about, I think the actual hilt of it is around about 16 centimeters, and then we have a standardized size for the actual, what we call the blade area, which I believe is around about 16 centimeters. Yeah, 16 centimeters, and then the width is around about 14 centimeters for the width. It's only a few millimeters deep. Hold on a second, I'm just gonna. Yeah, it's actually half a centimeter in terms of depth there. Now the idea is that we want to so that anybody anywhere in the game, anywhere in the world, can play duelstone. Is to turn this into a 3D printed object, so that as long as you get a file, you can, anywhere in the world, you can print it out and you can play duelstone. If you want the padded area, the sort of sleeve, you can order that online directly from us, but typically you can print your own. And that's really the project that we're sort of looking at right now. Is how to make that. Now, I've been told that ideally you make this in 2 different pieces. So this is 3D printed, and then this is 3D printed separately, and there's some kind of mechanism that slots them together, and perhaps we actually just tell the person who's making the bat how to glue it together and which glue that they can actually use. The other idea is that they can actually customize their bat, so they can create their sword from any of their favorite games, etc. The sword hilt here. This, it doesn't matter. It could be longer, it can be wider, etc. But the actual blade part is a standardized size, so there is a standard set that they can't sort of deviate from. It was if they're going to use an actual duelstone bat. So that's pretty much the project. So what I'm looking for is somebody who can actually design the 3D file for this, as I said, without the actual covering. Then come up with a connecting mechanism which seems to work, and then to actually get it 3D printed for me, or to talk to the 3D printer. I will pay the 3D printer to actually print out the actual object. But ideally it was that if you're managing the project, you take the project from the design all the way through to the actual object being finished, and have it delivered to me as a raw object. It doesn't have to be coloured, so it could be just in the raw colour, the grey colour that typically comes out of the 3D printing. As I said, and it doesn't have to have any leather. We've already got the leather here, and we've got the neoprene and all of that can be done. So that's what I'm looking for the project. I'm really excited if you are interested in working on it, and if there's any more details that I can give you, do let me know. I haven't got any files at all. As I said, this was actually taken from a real physical sword, and then just molded into what it is right now. So there is no 3D element to it at all, and I really don't have a lot of understanding of how 3D works. So if you wanted to tell me what file format would be best for the world, what type of 3D printing that they should be working with, it was to print it out, and also what type of material that they should be printing it out. I understand there's acrylic, there's all sorts of material. Remember, this it's quite robust. It's heavy because it needs to have a bit of substance to the feel, so it doesn't feel like a toy. But also, it has to. This part here has to hit a shuttle quite hard. If you think of badminton shuttlecock, it hits one of those quite hard. So it can, if it's being played with quite aggressively, it does take a bit of pressure. So that's why this, this material up here can't be too weak or can't be too fragile. Okay, all right. Well, you've got my email address. It's just Byron. It was at royalenclosure.com. It was if you need me. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.